We're at Norham Castle in Northumberland. John and Leslie Thurston are our hosts for the weekend. John, why the 15th century?
It seems to be rather by chance. The first armourer we came across was a chap working from his shed in the Midlands, and he produced 15th century style armour. And the first people to buy armour in the society bought 15th century style armour. As you can see, moving in the armour, although tiring, is quite easy. And just for a demonstration, Stephen would like to go for a run for you. Off you pop to the top. Would you like to lie down and get back up again?
Give me one moment to take my breath, good sir.
Often people believe that the armour that any soldier wore in most periods was that heavy that they couldn't move. If you can't move fast enough, you can't fight. If you can't fight, you can't kill your opponent. And your opponent wants to get out of the way. So he doesn't want to be weighed down with heavy armour. There you are. Most armours weigh around about 70 pounds. And that's full fighting harness. There you are. Christopher's been down on the floor and straight back up again. The only time he possibly would not get straight back up if he was actually knocked off his horse. What you're going to have to do is avoid me hitting you with this ball. It doesn't hurt too much. And I'll be quite gentle. Right, now how am I going to get you? We like to have a sort of a little theme to the weekend, so people have a handle to put things on. And picnics and pastimes actually came from we'd like to have done hunting. But once you come into the realms of hunting, we need horses, hawks, dogs of the period, and that was impractical. So we took little aspects of things that you would do on a hunt, like you'd sit down on a cloth and eat your luncheon al fresco outside.
Chris, go to the kitchen, get some kitchen food, bring.
We did actually do away with the deer droppings and the rabbit droppings on the table. We thought that was a bit unhygienic.
Right. Better than it's been.
No, I think we should exclude the veggies. We're going to exclude
onto
the
our plate. And the pastimes was to give a flavour of enjoyment, because the hunt was done for enjoyment. It wasn't just done for food. That was a byproduct. So we added in the games, the dance, the fishing, and things like that to still give it that feel of hunting. Because, as I say, some things are just too impractical to do.
It's not the 15th century, I think it's the people in this group. I think this group is special. They're doing something different. They do something new and exciting. Other societies don't do that. The people in this group are very much the leading edge of reenactment in this country. They're doing new and exciting things. Next year, we'll do something exciting, and this weekend we've done a picnic. The previous weekend at Aden Castle, we were a gentry family living in the castle. Nobody else is doing this sort of stuff. Other people are doing these things after we've done them. But this society is very much the cutting edge of the hobby in this country.
Oh, yes, I can smell it, darling.
Put the table in. Okay.
Obsessions come in all shapes and sizes. And today we're going to get a glimpse of an obsession which you could probably better describe as an incurable passion. We're going to leave the 20th century and we're going back 500 years in time. And what better way to start than with a bang? Have a care! Well, pardon the posh frock, but really, after all, this is the 1490s.
What other hobby can you find where you can come and stay in a place like this, and you're living in some of the most romantic places in Europe, these marvellous places that the state maintains, and you come along and people pay to come and see you having a good time. And it's a wonderful way to spend a weekend. And as somebody else said once, what's the alternative? Putting up bookshelves.
We're at Norham Castle in North Northumberland. Now, this impressive 12th century fortress has seen much aggro over the years, but today all thoughts of war are a long way away. It's pastimes and picnics thanks to the Rosa Mundi Society. Now, John and Leslie Thurston are our hosts for the weekend. John, why the 15th century?
It seems to be rather by chance. The first armourer we came across was a chap working from his shed in the Midlands, and he produced 15th century style armour. And the first people to buy armour in the society bought 15th century style armour.
It's more than just a hobby, because I know armour is extremely expensive, and just look at the costumes you're wearing and the tent you have. That also is expensive. I mean, an obsession, a passion, it has to be.
A bit of both. Certainly it has. Once you start to scrape the top off the iceberg of history, even in one particular period, there's things you just didn't realise that they had to make their life easier.
Really, you've dug very, very deeply. Everything's so accurate.
We try our very best to get it as accurate as we possibly can, so that we do a lot of research. My son has just spent a considerable period of time researching medieval stitching techniques, so that he can stitch his costume together completely authentically.
So no nylon in sight.
Oh, no.
Well, John, I suppose we'd better go and have a look at what's going on then.
Well, fair cousin, let's take you to meet some other members of my society.
Be they pensioners or personnel officers, bus drivers or surgeons, all their labels are left behind along with most of the 20th century's baggage. I mean, where else could you find a lawyer slaving over a hot cooking pot?
And here we have Master Robert in the kitchen.
Master Robert.
How do you do?
What are you cooking?
Well, we're cooking, first of all, some pork, as you can see on the spit. We're just making sure it's properly cooked, because we don't want anybody ill as a result of that.
Right.
Some of the pork you can see inside the cauldron, and you can probably smell it.
Yes, there's something else in there, isn't there?
There's some bay leaves at the bottom with some water. We're trying to infuse some of the smell into there.
Is this all authentic 15th century?
Yes, this is pears and apples. They're stewing, very similar to that which we find today.
Yes.
And those are to go in a pastry case, and probably the best person to speak to, the Mistress Carol over there.
Oh, Mistress Carol. So 500 years ago, would it have been the ladies that did most of the cooking?
No, I'm afraid it was the gentlemen that did nearly all the cooking. They were actually, the cooks of any household would always be men, and most of the kitchen staff would be men as well.
So you shouldn't be here.
So I shouldn't be here. And we do have quite a lot of men in our kitchen.
Obviously, pastimes and picnics. It's a picnic you're preparing for.
It is,
What's
yes.
on the menu? What are we going to have?
Well, we've been seeing the pork. Obviously, pork's going to be the main meat of the meal. We also have a salad, which has they've been preparing over there with carrots and lettuce and some sorrel and some of the different types of herbs. And then we have some of the stewed apple and pastries.
Well, now, Anne's your salad expert, your herb expert, isn't she?
She is,
Let's
yes.
go and see her, shall we? Ah, Mistress Anne. So these are some of the things that are going into your recipes.
Yes, some of them are medicines as well, though.
I was going to say lily of the valley. We don't. I've never eaten that.
No, I wouldn't eat it either. It makes your heart race.
Oh, right. So this was a medicine, is it?
Yes, yes. Used very much like foxglove is nowadays. Same sort of thing.
Where do you find all these plants?
I grow them.
Oh, really?
They're homegrown, yes, from medieval herb garden.
Because, as you say, a lot of them are very familiar today, but some have fallen out of use a long time ago.
Yes, they have, yes. Things like sage as a gargle. Feverfew's coming back into fashion now. And again, lily of the valley's sort of coming back into fashion as well, which is very interesting. There are quite a few that are difficult to get hold of. Things like southernwood, which is also a strewing herb,
It was used to keep off lice and...
Not surprised, it stinks.
It's got an antiseptic. Much like sage and thyme, they've both been found to have an antiseptic property, so there is sense in them being used today as well.
I really think it'd bathe that would.
Cats like it. Our cat likes to lie under it.
That is a nice little eating knife. Unfortunately, it's been contaminated by rust because of neglect. But I've been asked to clean it up because my job is that of a knife grinder. I'm retained by Lord Scrope to do the job. I get paid about £5 to £10 a year. All my lodgings are found. My other job is that of cannoneer for Lord Scrope. And if necessary, I do archery for defence of the household.
I suppose everybody's here for a different reason. Some people it's the hobby, some people it's the research, there's people who are interested in archaeology. They all have their own angle on things. And then there's the escapism. You know, some people play golf. This is what we do for the weekend.
This may sound a stupid question, but what is it?
It's a net for hunting either small birds, small rabbits, things like that. Or on a smaller version, you can actually use it for fishing. You need quite big fish to catch in here, but they were into commercial fishing, so they would lay nets across the river and just catch for the whole castle.
Your husband in real life actually fishes, doesn't he?
Yes.
You make the lines for him?
Yes.
There are, nevertheless, problems in having one foot in the past. Problems, well, perhaps more like minor irritations.
They wouldn't let us fish without a licence, so we've had to go and pick up a licence at the post office this morning. That raised a few eyebrows, getting down there in costume.
So at least you have to dip into the 20th century occasionally.
Yeah, it's one of the problems that once you get down there, you tend to forget all of the 20th century stuff, and you know, just down there doing your thing.
Actually, forgive me for saying so, Irene, your equipment's quite primitive looking, really.
It is. The evidence that we have for fishing lines, all of the equipment does seem to be very primitive. Obviously what you can see, a plain old piece of stick, and not quite a bent pin, but the hooks that we have made are actually these small forged hooks.
Oh, yes.
Which are actually made by a blacksmith.
So that's as they would have been in the 15th
That's
century?
as close as we can get them to the right type of hook.
What about bait, Ian?
Well, of course, it's a good old-fashioned worm, which we'll have a go with.
These are some of the characters that escaped from you last night.
Yes, we'll see if there's some left. There's one there. Nice. I'll put that on the hook.
No float, Ian?
We haven't seen any evidence of floats either. We had discussed using a quill float,
yeah.
And it's possible that they did, but that's something that we'll probably need to experiment with as we get more of the fishing technique.
So you just have to dangle it in and hope for the best?
One of the things that we do is we take a piece of beeswax and wax the line, and that just makes it sink that little bit slower. You can hear them jumping now.